Talking about these strange quarrels as I was in the last video, we find that it goes on in the life of these two young men, Jacob and his brother Esau. Because as time passed, their father Isaac, well, he became blind. And he knows that his life is now limited. So he decides that he's going to bless his sons. He is going to almost have a will written to see what is going to happen. He is going to declare where he wants his blessing to rest after his days. So he says to his son Esau, he says, go and prepare me catch some game and prepare some food. And when you've done that, come to me. I want to give you a special blessing. Now Rebekah hears about this. And she goes to her son Jacob, which is her favorite. And she says to him, your brother Esau's gone out to catch this game and prepare this food. But she said, we're going to trick your father because he's blind. What we're going to do is that I'm going to put Esau's clothes on you, and I'm going to put some hair from some animal around your neck, because Esau is a much hairier man than Jacob. And you are going to go in and you are going to get the blessing. And Jacob says, if I do that, my father will realize what's happening, and instead of receiving a blessing, I'll receive a curse. She says, you trust me, you trust me. Now, as I read these scriptures, I have a feeling, that Isaac was not deceived. I have a feeling he knew what is going on. It's very difficult to distinguish between these two men. One was Esau and one was Jacob. I think Isaac would have been able to tell the difference, even though he was blind. Because when Jacob goes into him, he says, the hairy neck, yes, you're the hairy man. The smell of your clothes, yes, the smell of Esau, your brother. But your voice is the voice of Jacob. Are you really my son Esau? And Jacob says, yes, I am. I'm your son Esau. I don't think Isaac was deceived. He knows what the mother's up to. And probably instinctively, he knows that this younger twin, this was the one who will have the ability and the intelligence and, yes, all the craftiness to be the true leader of the family. And he gives the blessing to Jacob. Later on, of course, Esau comes back and prepares the food and comes to his father and says, I've caught the food, I've caught the game, I've prepared the food. And Isaac, his father, is so angry because of what Jacob has done. But I don't know. I have a feeling that he already knew what was happening and had made a decision almost against his own will that the true leader of this family was going to be Jacob. Now Esau is so angry about what's happened. He says, you wait till my father dies. You wait till my father dies. I'm really going to deal with my brother. I'll wait till after his death, and then I'm going to deal with him. So Rebekah goes to Jacob and says, you'd better get away from here. We've got this family on the other side of the Euphrates. Go back there and see them. And that's exactly what happens. Jacob sets off. Very strange story, though, as he sets off, because he comes to a place called Bethel. And he lies down for the night, and he's going to sleep. He's probably got servants with him as well, but he sleeps and he dreams. And he dreams of this ladder being set up from earth to heaven, with the angels of God descending and ascending and descending upon this particular ladder. And when he wakes up, he says, this truly must be the house of God. And he names the house Bethel. He offers sacrifice there and says, this is Bethel. Bethel means the house of God. The God that he worships and the God that we worship is El Bethel, the God of the house of God. Very often Christians get very confused about this. They're almost worshiping Bethel, the chapel, the church, the place where they worship. That becomes the most important thing in their life. It isn't Bethel that we worship, it is El Bethel, the God of the house of God. And the God of the house of God is at home in all of our churches and all the places where we meet, wherever his children gather. It is El Bethel, the God of the house of God, that we truly worship. But Jacob also makes another decision at this point. He said, I'm going off and I don't know what's going to be happening to me in the future. I don't know whether I'm going to be successful or whether I'm going to be a failure. But I'm going to make an agreement with God and a covenant with God. Whatever God gives me, I will give back to him the 10th. It is the beginning of the idea of the tithe coming in and being almost a dominant part of our lives as Christians and of the Jewish people as well. The fact that we should give back to God the 10th of all that he has given me. Jacob makes this particular promise. And you know, I think you and I, well, we should think about this carefully as well. You see, God gives us so much in our lives. If you went to the government and said, yes, I've received these wages, but I've decided not to pay you my taxes, the government wouldn't be very happy about it. Well, I think we have to go back to God as well and say, Lord, you've given me so much in my life. I want to return it to you to honor you. And I leave with you the idea again that what we should give to him is in fact the 10th of all that we have received. Amen.